Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Hello, you are listening to On The Topic podcast, and oh boy, we've got a special episode for you today. Not only is it our third birthday, but it's our 100th episode as well. And we're in a pub.
We are.
And I suppose I should introduce myself. I'm Dan.
And I've got a pint in my hand. First time in, 9-10 months, Dan?
It's been a while.
And I'm Alex. And yeah, this is a very special birthday episode. And it's from the Guildhall in Portsmouth. It's not my preferred venue, but it's a venue. And yeah, we're celebrating a birthday, Dan. It's a lovely birthday. It's our third birthday.
It is.
And how many episodes?
This is our 100th.
100 episodes. It is. And I thought I'd give you some facts, Dan. I mean, before we get into the main crux of the Ask Me Anything, which is going to be the AMA.
Oh, there's some odd questions here.
Yeah, there's some interesting ones. But before we get into that, Dan, I want to give you some facts. So across 8 seasons, we've had 5,000 minutes of time-relevant, delicious audio. That's over 83 hours non-stop.
Oh, wow.
Or that's nearly 3.5 days worth of non-stop content. All available to you right now.
Holy cow.
And it's a beautiful one. It's lovely. And of course we've got the background noise, of course. Before I continue. Because we're in the pub, so you've got... I don't know what this music is. We've got something. And we've got something buzzing off in the background. So yeah, you're going to hear some interesting noise, guys. But look, it's a bit of ASMR, is it?
A little bit of ambience.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Come with us. We're not on the sofa anymore. We're in the pub. Come sit with us and enjoy a pint as we continue this journey. Anyway, I digress. Can you guess what our top streams episodes are so far?
I know our main one is the Jurassic World 2 review.
It is Life Finds a Way. Yep. Called Fallen Kingdom.
It's got to be our first episode.
It is Snap of a Finger. Infinity What?
I don't know the other 3.
You can't see my screen, guys. I've got my iPad here. I'll read to you, Dan. We've got Big Screen Time, our upcoming 2018 film picks. I don't know why they're still getting streams, because that's obviously 3 years out of date, but it is. OTT number 8, your favourite Christmas films.
That was a good episode.
It's really good, actually. Popular Conspiracy Theories Volume 1.
Good episode.
Which I really enjoyed. You've got your Blink-182 album review, 9.
Jesus.
Gaming Films Volume 1. And an episode coming from a galaxy far, far away.
Oh, wow. So...
with Howard.
So it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, but they're all quite in the high hundreds. And people are still loving them. So if any of those take your fancy, guys, I mean, they're all there for you to listen to. Go and have a scroll from our back catalogue. But yeah, those are our top streams so far. And I guess, Dan, over the past year, what have you enjoyed most far? What's been your most favourite episode?
Oh, that is a good question. So I did enjoy the Christmas films. It was a nice relief at the time.
Yeah.
Great fun. And I also found that I loved Love Actually?
No, The Holiday, Dan.
The Holiday, that's the one.
Jack Black.
It's just a ding-dang delight.
It's really good, isn't it?
So good.
Such a good film. Any others that come to mind?
I've enjoyed having our guests on the show, so quite cathartic interviewing my band after 13 years, and lessons learned. So I think there's some great lessons there for anyone that's in the band that might want to sort of pick up some tips. Silent Sky Services was a good episode.
It was really good.
We interviewed Peter Hopkinson from About My Area Portsmouth.
We did.
So it's been good. It's been quite eventful.
It has. I think quite a good mix, and we started doing some of the things we said we always wanted to do, didn't we, Dan?
Yeah.
So obviously that's quite good in terms of New Year's resolutions. I mean, a couple for me. So in no particular order, Dan. OTT number 16. A different perspective of Portsmouth.
Yeah, beautiful.
So with Silent Sky Services, that was really, really good, as you say. Great to kind of learn from people in the area, what they've been doing, and how they've been overcoming the challenges of the last year, or year and a half, near enough.
Yep.
OTT number 4.
Oh Christ, you're really challenging me.
I am. Behind the scenes, Jurassic Park.
That was a good episode. This is where we really proved how dynamic we are, because I was in Ireland at the time.
You were?
I really enjoyed that episode because I learned things about Jurassic Park which I never knew.
Oh,
absolute
100%.
classic 1993
Oh,
film.
absolute blinder. So that's quite good. So if you're interested in that film, or you want to know about how big old T-Rexy was part of the show, then go and have a listen. And we've got disaster movies.
Yep, good film. Good film. Should I say good episode?
Yeah.
That was back in the first lockdown, was it not?
I believe so, yeah. So no, there's lots of good episodes there, good fun. But those have been my highlights, I guess, the last 12 months. We're very strange 12 months, but nonetheless, 12 months.
Yeah, 2020 was odd because we sort of went a little bit quiet. We were trying to work things out and how things work. We were never going to disappear, guys. You know, we were still planning away in the background. But to be honest, to get the quality we had towards the end of 2020 and into 2021, wow, you know, that's the hard work we put in.
Yeah, it's a journey, but I think, you know, we've got a rhythm, and who knows whether we'll continue doing it in that way. We'll see what happens, but yeah, it's been an interesting one. And to celebrate this birthday, I guess like we did last year,
Yeah, and the year before.
yeah, we've got an AMA, and Ask Me Anything, and you guys, well, you didn't disappoint, did it, Dan?
Oh God! Well, this year we've actually opened up. You know, we changed from the weekly roundup with Alex and Dan to On the Topic mid last year due to some advice, and this year is very open. It's not pop culture questions.
No.
The booze is already kicking in.
It
You know,
is.
I'm about a sixth of my pint in.
Red in the face. He's already been drinking today.
How did you know? So this year we've sort of allowed you to ask us anything within reason. But there are some weird, wonderful questions, and some actually probably quite thought-provoking.
Yeah, some very philosophical ones too.
So shall I kick it off?
Yeah, let's do one for one. So you kick us off, and I'll do the next one.
Right, so first up we've got Gemma. What do you think of the t-shirt and tie combination? I'm going to keep this very brief and very blunt.
Okay.
It shouldn't exist. No one wears a tie over a t-shirt. Get in the sea.
Have you ever worn a tie and t-shirt?
No.
Okay.
I think this came up in a group chat, this question actually, because I was talking about when I was younger. I was in a relationship with my first proper girlfriend, and she made me wear shirts and cardigans.
Okay.
Not a big fan. Don't like cardigans.
Oh, I love a cardigan.
Do you?
Yeah, 100%. I've only got one.
Don't know. Never really got into it.
Oh,
But
yeah,
So
100%.
then this is how the question came up: t-shirts and ties. Not together, I'm afraid.
I mean, for me, it was probably okay back in 2005, and it could be okay if you're going to a pop punk gig in Camden Town, London.
Yeah.
If you're not in 2005 and you're not going to a pop punk gig in London, you can get in the sea.
Agreed.
Next question. So this is an interesting one. So will Dan still love me? Well, this is Kelly now. So will Dan still love me when I dance? When I make him dance up the aisle, sprinkling petals at my wedding?
So if anyone hasn't listened to some of our previous episodes where I have dropped that I'm going to be a bridesman for a friend, this is what happened. So back in lockdown 1, I think we were literally about 2 or 3 days into lockdown, my friend Paul proposed to my friend Kelly. You know, you can follow them both on Instagram, Paul Messer Photography, and Kelly goes under a pseudonym of Leah Holford. Give him a follow. But anyway, this was basically what happened. I found out, and I said, shotgun bridesmaid, as a joke. And I planned out a hen do for her. And I found a screenshot, and this is exactly what I said. Let's get shit-faced with dinosaurs wearing monocles, so I'm referring to our local brewery, Staggeringly Good.
Yep.
3 cans of no spared expense real quick to fuck us all up. It's one of their strongest beers. Then head out and dance to the wank music we still know and love today. Panic at the Disco, Blink-182, Fall Out Boy, etc. Punch someone in the throat in a rowdy fight, and in brackets I put, I jest, but it might happen. Shruggy shoulders. On the big day, be responsible and make sure you're ready, etc. I will suit and boot and look the part. You choose the colour of the suit. Obs. Don't be embarrassing. That's not cool. What else? She took it literally, and I'm now committed.
You're now going down the aisle.
So on day 5 of lockdown, this is the status I posted. Don't joke to be a friend's maid man of honour. they will take it seriously, and that's it. To be fair, my Hindu pitch was pretty solid. I'm pretty proud of it. I mean, what do you think, Alex? Was it a good?
I think
pitch?
It was a solid pitch. You won it, and now you got to suffer the consequences down.
Indeed. Do commit 100% because it's a bloody privilege. You've accepted you'll probably never be anyone's best man as you're a crap friend.
Oh.
Yeah, I've never been asked to be someone's best man, so it sucks to be me.
Yeah, that's a compliment and a backhanded one at that.
But I'm going to be a bridesman. I'm committed 100%, and if Kelly wants to make me dance up the aisle, throwing petals everywhere, because Harry and Gemma did tag me in a video of someone doing it, and I thought, do you know what, I can mince up the aisle, throwing petals over everyone like that.
I can imagine it. However, Dan, I have seen your dancing, so actually it's not you that we need to be worried about.
Nope.
So, yeah, we'll see whether Kelly actually realises what she's done. But, yeah, it should be very, very exciting stuff.
Indeed. So the next question is from Angela. This is very thought-provoking.
It is.
I tried to give it some thought.
I soul-searched for this one.
I got dragged down the whole different time, sort of, not time travelling, but, you know... what if I change something, it's going to change.
Oh, the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
If you could go back in your personal timeline, what one thing would you change and why? So I started to give it some thought, and I thought, well, you know, my previous relationship was sort of going cold. I probably should have ended it when I thought it was necessary, but I thought to fight it, and you know, try and rescue it, etc. And I thought, if I go back now and I change that, would I have met Claire when I did? Because, you know, if I hadn't met Claire, I wouldn't have met you, Alex.
No podcast? Well, not this one.
Podcast.
Would you go to university?
Yeah, I would have gone to university. I mean, this is post-university, this question. But, yeah, do you know what? I think just because where I am now, sat doing this, doing something I enjoy and I love, I wouldn't change anything.
Oh, wow.
I know, it's quite deep.
It's deep. That's lovely.
You know, I'm extremely happy. You know, I've got a cat now with my girlfriend Claire. Quills, who I've introduced in episodes.
The panther.
I live in a rented house, but it's a house nonetheless. Yeah, so no, I wouldn't change anything. I've learned from my mistakes. It's made me a better person. You know, growing up, I'm 35 now, going on 18.
Get old.
Yeah. Mind of a child.
Forever young, I think they refer to it, Dan.
Indeed.
I mean, mine's not so that thought-provoking, but I will say that there was a time when I was... And you know, often you think randomly, you're supposed to be asleep and you're wide awake at night, and you got these random thoughts like, I should never have said this, or there's a perfect comeback for that, right? Always happens when you try to sleep. Anyway, this particular time has always bugged me. It's one of those times, actually. I was 11 years old, just gone from some paintballing with my mates. I walked down to a train station car park where my nan was going to pick me up afterwards. And I wasn't particularly street smart, 11 years old, and I decided to stay by the cars because I wasn't sure if, you know, my nan would know where I was. And anyway, I stood by the end of this car, and these two people came off the train, and they looked miserable as fuck, Dan. There's no way I could describe it. And they were older people, and they looked at me and said, "Why the fuck are you in my car? Get away from my fucking car!" And they were shouting at me.
Jesus.
And now little old Alex, you know, he's got curly hair, blonde curly hair at the time. Not very street smart, as I say. I was just waiting for my nan in the car park, and these two people are shouting at me, and they're effing and blinding. So anyway, got all teary, a little bit upset. Got to the car, and obviously, I told my nan all about it. But I was like, I should have really said something. But I was so taken aback, Dan. I thought, who the fuck are these idiots, and why are they shouting at me? But of course, it's 11-year-olds. You're taught not to, you know, talk back to your elders. And of course, you know, I didn't. But yeah, probably go back and tell them to go fuck off, go fuck themselves. Mind their manners, and I was down by their shitty car to break into it anyway. It was a particularly great car. But I do wonder whether they're doing I was thinking back about this a couple of years ago. I wonder whether they were having some kind of affair or something, because they looked like a bit shifty, and they weren't supposed to be together. And maybe they, I don't know, or maybe just had a barney on the train. But either way, absolute knobheads. So 11-year-old Alex, I whisper in the ear, Just can tell him go fuck off, kick the car and run off. That's what I'll do.
The booze is kicking in. He's getting a bit sweary.
Get a bit fighty. That's a Croydon in me. But no, I would. That's the one thing I regret, Dan. But as I say, you're taught not to speak back to your elders. So
I think we all have moments like that, though. I sort of think. I can't think of any stories to hand, but I'm sure I sort of think back to something in the previous day or whatever, and I think, I wish I'd said something now. I regret not saying something, but yeah, no, that's good.
So is this my one now?
Yeah.
If you could pick one console to play on for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? And what single game would you go alongside it? Now this is from Sam. Now,
man.
I've really struggled with this one, but I think I might have nailed it.
Okay.
Do you want some time, or do you think you want to go off the cuff?
Give me some time. I'm going to let the booze kick in a minute.
It's going to be the same answer, Dan. There is only one answer. It's hands down the N64.
Oh, 100%. No, I'll join in with this.
Now, my shortlist would actually be GoldenEye, of course.
Yep, Blinder.
Donkey Kong 64.
Never
Not sure I played it. It's very, very good. Or Rogue Squadron, which was really good, Star Wars. Now, if I was pushed, it's not what you think. Oh, tune. I'd probably go for Donkey Kong 64, and the reason being is it needed an expansion pack. So it was a little, in the N64 it was a little slot. No, it wasn't to gather dust or to to store little piece of food in. No, it was to expand the up to 64 megabytes. I don't know what.
It improved the graphics slightly, didn't it?
Yeah. And you couldn't play Donkey Kong 64 without it. So you bought the game with that. It was quite costly. It was something like 100 quid, I think, for the two games. So it had a phenomenal open world, and it also had a multiplayer akin to GoldenEye. So you're running around with monkeys, shooting banana guns and bazookas. It was brilliant. So I think you get 2 for 1 for that one. And it's got, of course, monkeys. So N64, Sam. And I think Donkey Kong 64, because it has the open world, it also has the joy of the GoldenEye.
Yeah, I'm still struggling. So, I mean, GoldenEye 64 would be on there.
I mean, you complete it over and over again so quickly, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Would you really want to play just that over and over again?
I mean, you had to play Agent, and then you had to do Secret Agent to unlock Aztec, and then you had 007, you had to unlock Egyptian levels, which was cool, but I think I would get bored.
Do you know what? A little bit of insight here, Dan, very quickly. I gave my save game cartridge to my mate. He played this through for me and unlocked it all for me.
Oh, beautiful.
So I gave it to him, and a week later he gave it back to me, and I got everything unlocked. Double weapons, double this, double that. Paintball mode, big head mode, all of it.
Oh, wow.
So, cashed in there.
My biggest achievement was finishing Archive. I think you had to do it in like 1 minute 20 to get invisibility. Do you know what? I could never do facility for invincibility. I was rubbish. Could not get through that level because it was so massive.
The door's so slow.
Yeah. And you had to speak to Dr. Doak, and that motherfucker would not hurry up. Just give me the thing I need to get through that door, you prick.
Yeah.
I want to get out of it. I don't want to get the cheat.
All he did was talk.
Happened. So no, I suppose I would choose Zelda 64.
It's quite a long play. There's lots to do there.
There was a lot to do. You had to do various missions to get I think it was like a Goron sword or something you could get. It was a massive double-handed sword. You could get like a cheap version, but it would break. But you had to do so many different tasks to get the proper one, which didn't break.
Was it worth it, Dan?
It was. I remember you had to gallop across half of Hyrule on Epona to get something that in 20 minutes to finish the task. Yeah. That still stands out. And do you know what? I haven't played in Zelda 64 for such a long time. I must be rolling back to 2001 because my brother had it.
Oh, easy. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. I love that game. Maybe it's why I love Breath of the Wild so much on the Switch. Open world, it's massive, so much to do.
Great console. So Sam, N64 I think, Legend of Zelda for Dan, and I think Donkey Kong 64 for me. Good question. We've got next.
Sam had another question. If you had to be a gym leader in Pokemon, what would your type be?
Now I've got a question. Why am I being forced to be a gym leader?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I suppose the advantage you have is... Oh no, it's not really an advantage. You're sort of stuck with one type.
Yeah, and you're stuck in one place.
Well, I mean, I'll answer the question. I'd probably go for grass. Bit of Bulbasaur, bit of Venusaur, bit of Ivysaur. Can't think of any other plant. You had the yellow-headed flower thing. See, this is my
this is your knowledge.
My Pokemon knowledge has gone straight out the window.
I think, I mean, it's much the same for me though, Dan. We talked about the last episode, didn't we? Things to do and what's entertaining us in 2021. My knowledge is limited, but I probably agree because I was in love with Is it the Venusaur in the end?
Yeah.
I loved him and it was brilliant. So probably grass as well, I'd say, Dan. It's a cop out, but you know, I lovingly nurtured that all the way through to Pokemon Stadium. So if you know about the last episode, you'll know exactly what we're talking about. But yeah, I think I'm with you. We won't be in the same gym, Dan. We'll have rival gyms, but yeah, the glass one.
Are we fighting each other as rivals, or
eventually, when there's too many bodies to count and we've evaded the authorities, we'll have a showdown in the car park.
Sweet, let's do that.
Let's do it.
And we'll take out any old twats that shout at us.
That's right.
I'm gonna Razor Leaf you 1 herb and 1 spice, what would it be? Easy.
Go on.
Put my teeth in. Oregano
or oregano for our US.
Oregano. If you like what will he cook? If you listen to the previous episode, you know what I'm talking about. And smoky pat.
Oh, smoked paprika.
Smoky paprika. I love it. Oregano and smoky paprika complement each other very well. And all you need is a bit of salt and pepper. They're not really herbs and spices. Oh, all right then.
Salt maybe is a condiment, but pepper no.
Right, well, pepper's out the window then, so
yeah.
A bit of salt just to bring it to life.
Okay. So a herb for me has got to be coriander, motherfuckers.
Oh, what, fresh one?
Yeah, fresh coriander.
I love fresh coriander. If people think this tastes like soap, why are you eating soap, you freak?
Yep, fair play. And a spice, I mean, you've already mentioned it, Dan. I refer you to the flowering vine of the Pipercy family. It's delicious and spicy fruit which is ground, refined, and no, Dan, it's not snorted. It is the wonderful Piper nigrum, or better known as black pepper.
Yeah, beautiful. I mean,
It's gotta be.
I don't like the coarse powdery stuff. I like the stuff where you get the seeds in it and you grind it.
Yeah.
It's my favourite.
So yeah, coriander and black pepper for me.
It's a good shout. And coriander goes beautifully in anything. And I'm talking about guacamole.
A bit guac.
On a curry.
Anything really, it's just to kind of lighten up the meal, isn't it? We have it at least 3 or 4 times a week.
I can't really have it because Claire doesn't like it. She thinks it tastes like soap. So you're a big freak. Sorry,
Stop
Claire.
licking the soap.
Yeah.
Use it to wash yourself.
Right, the next question is from Rob. What is your guilty pleasure? Do you want me to kick this one off?
You can, Dan. I know what mine is, but what's yours?
Let's rewind to a 2019 episode where I declare my love for Eurovision.
Oh, you did?
I love Eurovision. At the time of recording, the semi-finals are airing on TV. I don't really care for those. I like the final. I enjoy listening to the shite, tacky, cheesy music. Jedward in 2011 was phenomenal, by the way. Come at me. And to be honest, it's just I enjoy watching the politics roll out. And also, why are Australia in it?
Yeah.
There is a reason for it. I can't remember what it is. I will find out for the next episode.
But they have no rights.
They have no right. You're not... Well, technically, we're not in Europe either now, so...
Yeah, fair play.
Brexit.
The B word. I mean, for me, I mentioned this in literally the last episode, Dan. Selling Sunset. It's... I mean, there's not an awful lot else which I am even marginally embarrassed about or admitting. But that one is a reality TV show. And I'm not one to admit that quite readily. But yeah, Selling Sunset is banging on Netflix. So that is probably my guilty pleasure.
Nice. Next up is from my other half, Claire. Now, we've got a few questions from her. How do you think mutants will be introduced into the MCU?
That's a good question.
That is a good question. Now, I think, in my opinion, they probably already exist. We just don't know about it yet.
Okay. I mean, for me, I suspect it'll be the Multiverse of Madness. They'll probably do it. In my opinion, and we talked about this in recent episodes of WandaVision, it probably should have been in that, where she broke down and she did something. But I mean, she's clearly broken something with a Darkhold, and she's using some pretty dark stuff. So I think that's where money is. I think it'll be in the Multiverse of Madness. I think she'll fuck up, and I think that she'll create mutants.
It's a good call. I think, like yourself, I would like to have seen a reverse House of M.
Yeah.
Rather than saying no more mutants, bam. I'm making my own sound effects here. Wonderful.
Bam.
It's never happened. It's because I've got half a pint in my belly and now I'm rambling like a madman.
It's a wonderful thing to watch. And so the bar staff think so too, from Saturday. So yeah, I think it'll come off from that film.
Next question from Claire is, favourite pizza topping, and does pineapple belong on a pizza?
Yes. But it's got to be slightly singed. It can't be wet and cold.
Yeah, agreed.
But I do think it has a place on a pizza, but only next to ham, probably. Ham and pineapple.
Oh, I don't know. I do like the Domino's pizza where it literally has everything on it, and you got like little tiny bits of pineapple. But like I say, it's got to be slightly singed.
Off topic, Dan, do you like pineapple, like eating rings? Pineapple rings? Would you eat a pineapple ring?
Yeah.
Does it not cut up your mouth?
No. Not really.
Okay.
I'll tell you what is beautiful though. Have you been to Casa Brazil in Port Salem?
I haven't.
Where you have all the meat?
No. No, I have been to one, so in Glasgow. Yes.
Okay.
And they come around and they give you slabs of meat, and you say, "Oh, what's this one?" It's just chicken heart. And you're like,
sure.
Okay, and it's quite delicious.
Bit of venison, beautiful. But yeah, anyway, digressing onto meat here, but back to pineapple. I went to one night where they were carving pineapple. It was covered in cinnamon, and
oh yeah,
it was beautiful, absolutely stunning. I mean, cinnamon pineapple doesn't belong on a pizza. No, but it has a place. But my favourite pizza topping of all time, if I'm just feeling a bit like, a bit generic, pepperoni.
Do you reckon? See, I mocked my wife for a long time for this, but in recent years I've really come to enjoy it. It's a cheese pizza with extra cheese.
Just a cheesy pizza.
Full on cheese, the melted kind, the rubbery, beautiful melted kind. It's wonderful stuff.
The stuff that kind of clogs your arteries?
Oh no, 100%. The moment you eat it, you think you're going to have a stroke. But it's lovely. So yeah, probably a nice and simple double, triple cheese pizza. It's a thing of dreams, mate.
Nice.
That's for me.
And then the last question from Claire. Can DC turn it around and do a Marvel Cinematic Universe?
It's too late, Dan.
I think we are too late, and I think I mentioned this in our previous episode, where Warner Brothers have no interest in a Snyderverse,
no.
And I think Snyder is probably the guy that can do a Marvel Cinematic Universe, but, well, there it is.
Yeah,
they're not interested.
I think the people want it, the masses want it, but Warners don't. So
don't get it, because the Snyder Cut is phenomenal. Yes, it's 4 hours long, but it does beef out a story which was absolutely shite in 2017. It gives it a bit more, gives it more guts. Graphics are so beautiful. The villains look like villains, not like pathetic arseholes.
Pathetic arseholes.
Pathetic arseholes.
There you go.
Trying to muster words here.
I think it was gritty. It was akin to the DC of the comics. I'm hesitant to use the term realism, but it isn't, your cotton candy MCU. But the ship has sailed. I mean, they got Aquaman 2 this year, end of this year or next year. Next year, isn't it? 22. Whether Cavill comes back for Superman, I don't know. He's saying he'd always want to, but that might be backtracking. I don't know. I think they're done though. which is a shame because I did want them to do well. I'm not a massive DC fan, but they just missed the boat and it didn't deliver.
Indeed. So that's the answer to that one.
There we go. Thank you, Claire. Great questions. We've got another one now. Now, I wasn't quite sure how to answer this, if I'm honest.
I've just cracked up because I've just seen the next question.
What is the dirtiest teaspoon you've ever used to make a cuppa?
This one comes from Luke.
The dirtiest teaspoon you've ever used to make a cup of tea?
I mean, I used to work for a supermarket, and when you go to the staff canteen in the mornings, you'd want a cup of tea before you start your shift. Or if you're
you saying or insinuating that's where COVID started?
No, definitely not. But anyway, I left this supermarket long before COVID to be in my current career. But I mean, some of the spoons in there were not great. They were always like tea stains.
Bronzy, but not for the right reasons.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm going to say that staff canteen, supermarket. Not giving any names away. You might find hints if you listen to previous episodes. That's it.
I mean, for me, these days, throw in some guest teas, maybe a couple of days, 15 cups of tea.
Yeah.
I don't really know what... Is it Luke, do you say? I don't know what Luke's measure is of the dirtiest teaspoon, but I'd say 15 cups of tea maybe. You're starting to get a sheen on it. That's just that pure laziness. So yeah, probably my threshold's quite low these days. Not quite as bad as your communal cup of tea or teaspoon, Dan, but probably 15 cup of teas.
Next up we got Chris. If you take one superhero from any other world and put them in Marvel Universe, which one would it be? I mean, he hasn't specifically said any other universe, so we're open to options here.
Oh yeah, we are.
Well, if I'm going to be picky, I do like a gritty city. I mean, I wouldn't even say he's really a superhero. I'd probably say he's more of an anti-hero. I'd take Billy Butcher from The Boys and I'd stick him in the Marvel Universe.
Oh yeah.
Give the Punisher a bit of a run for his money. Maybe even become some sort of team with the Punisher and the likes of Daredevil, Elektra.
That's a good shout, actually. I didn't think of that.
Hellcat, She-Hulk. Chuck them all in as a team. Billy Butcher. Fucking shit up. Kicking ass. Billy Butcher. The Boys.
Good choice. I'm sure it's probably been in a crossover, but I'm probably going to say The Flash.
Good shout.
We have got a gap in the superhero roster with Aaron Taylor Johnson's version getting absolutely mullered in Age of Ultron. And the CW's version actually is really quite good TV show.
Yep.
I haven't watched the later seasons. I got rid of Virgin and therefore Sky One because it just cost too much. But it was quite good for the first 5 or 6 seasons. So for me, it's a Flash, and a bloody good one at that too. So yeah, I think we're in need of a speedster. We haven't got one anymore, or not at least until they recognise the guy in One Division. So yeah, for me, that's Flash.
Nice. Good question. We're getting low on beer, so maybe 2 more questions, and we'll go into a little brief interlude.
Yeah. What would you rather fight, Dan? 100 duck-sized horses or 1 horse-sized duck?
This one comes from Rob. Horse-sized duck.
Oh, why, Dan?
I mean, it's 1 against 1 then, that way, isn't it?
And that was my thought, so I went for the same. And the reason being is you can put all your effort into one fight, because I think after a couple of ducks, you might think you're winning. But after 100, I think you might be overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So, for me, I think it's 1 horse-sized duck, roll the dice, see what happens.
I'm going to take us down a rabbit hole. Is it animal cruelty if we're fighting either of these creatures?
Well, have you seen any horse-sized ducks or any... ducks that or horses that small.
Fair point. What about little Sebastian in Parks and Rec? He's small.
Indeed, he is.
I mean, he's not duck size, but he's small.
I mean, it is probably, dodgy ground we are venturing upon, but if we keep it hypothetical, I think we should be fine. The horse-sized duck.
Before we go to our brief interlude, one more.
That's a tough one.
We've got my namesake, Dan Suggs. If you put one lasagna on top of another, is it then just one larger lasagna or still two?
That is a very good question.
That's a very good question. It's thought-provoking.
It's quite philosophical.
I'm just going to say it's an equally delicious taller lasagna, and there's going to be more going into my belly. I love a lasagna. I like the meaty lasagnas you get in Italian restaurants.
Yeah.
They're not too saucy. They're really meaty.
Oi.
A bit cheesy. I'm just going to say it's a larger lasagna.
I mean, for me, it depends on how many layers you've got in each lasagna. Now, I think we usually push about 3 different layers.
Yep.
I mean, I haven't made lasagna in quite a while now. So 6 layers, I mean, more to go around, right? So I think it's just one larger lasagna, I think we're saying, Dan?
Yep.
That's the answer then, Dan. It's just one larger lasagna, more the merrier. Get down my neck.
Happy days. Cooking tip before we go to the brief interlude.
Oh, yeah.
If you're cooking lasagna, don't use bacon in your mince. Use prosciutto.
I don't use either. You use
Really?
bacon?
Oh no, I use prosciutto. Found a recipe.
you?
Prosciutto works. Nice and salty. Delicious.
So do you not supplement it with salt? You use salt from the meat? I'm salivating here. Okay. Because we use predominantly just your basic mince and mushrooms. Very mushroomy. A meaty vegetable. How interesting. Might try next time.
I think we should change our name from On the Topic to On the Menu.
Yeah, well, apparently
Foodcast.
Facebook thinks we offer takeaway food, so why not?
We need more beers.
We do.
On the beers. Right. Brief interlude.
We'll be back after this quick break. And we're back, and after that brief interlude, Dan and I actually had to head home.
Yeah.
Because they called last orders. We had a bit of a natter. We caught up, didn't we, Dan? It's not all business, guys. We do talk outside of work, so to speak, and this is more play than work, let's face it, Dan. But yeah, they sent us home. Last orders at 9:15. But fine, we were, one of 8 people in the pub?
Yeah, it was pretty dead, wasn't it, to be fair? And, I get it in this time, if there's no money going to the till, no bums in seats, why would you stay open longer than you need to? But it's fine.
It's fair enough. So we had a couple of pints to wet our whistles, and we're going to continue in our respective homes. Now, although we could, I guess in theory, Dan, record in each other's abodes, we haven't quite got the setup yet to return back behind the mic. So, yeah, we're doing it without the background noises, without the clash and the cluttering of the pub. But hey, look, we tried it. We'll return there at some point, but we'll continue.
Yes, so plenty of questions to answer.
Indeed. So we had Dan previously. Let's go to Leah. So Leah's question, Dan, is what's the most embarrassing thing you've done in public? What is the most embarrassing thing you've done in public, do you think?
I mean, I can sort of recall back to the Catch Me Comet days. I mean, it's not really that embarrassing, but it just makes you feel like a tit when you can't play your song properly. We had a song where we had a key change and the song moved up a step. Now, on my guitar riff, I went up half a step, so it sounded like my guitar was out of tune. And I had a lot of people after the song had finished going, Dan, is your guitar out of tune? And I had the guy on our monitors going, is your guitar out of tune? I was like, no, I just played it on the wrong frets.
But I mean, would you not prefer that what happened was reality as opposed to was actually out of tune? Because that would, I guess, make you feel even more silly, though, would it not? Because then you don't know how to tune a guitar. That's what it's insinuating.
I was very honest. I think I went over the mic. I went, "Sorry, guys, played the riff on the wrong frets." And I think that was just out of pure honesty. But I think in hindsight now, I'd have just switched to, "Oh yeah, sorry guys, guitar's out of tune." But
blame the roadies for not setting it up properly.
We never had roadies. We had to tune our own guitars on stage, which is good practice, really. If you're playing a set of 8 to 10 songs, maybe more, depending on where you are on the bill that night, constantly tune your guitars. Make sure they're in tune, because otherwise, under the hot lights and the sweat and everything else, your guitar does sort of gradually detune over time.
Yummy.
Top tip. Giving you all the top tips in this episode. I'm telling you how to cook a lasagna, and now I'm telling you how to tune a guitar during a gig.
Jot these down, guys. You'll promise us later, or you'll thank us later, shall I say. Okay, I mean, mine is probably more traditional, Dan, in the sense of I was dressed as Snow White. Skirt, frilly top, headband, waistband, walking around Prague for my stag do.
Oh, nice.
Now, I absolutely fucking hated it, Dan. However, a lot of people got a lot of smiles out of a lot of people, lots of shakes of hands. Pre-COVID, you could do that. Lots of high fives, lots of sniggering. And hey, look, it's a stag and hen do capital in Europe, so they're more than used to it. But I bloody hated it. That was one of the outfits, though. That was the first day when we landed. And then
there's more.
And then the second day, so I wore this. I was a little bit hungover, must be said. Good thing, mind, because it always would be a very good stag do.
But hungover. You went out hair of the dog, right?
Yeah. With little sleep, hungover, go-karting and shooting all manner of automatic weapons and sidearms and everything else. Sniper rifles, dressed as a banana. And I didn't mind that. But what was quite funny was my mates decided to give me an ultimatum and say, look, you dress up on the way home. So you got to go to the airport dressed up, got to sit on the plane dressed up, and you've got to go home dressed up. And you can either dress up as Snow White again, of course, we all know now how I feel about that, or you can dress up as a banana. So I kept the costume on all the way through that previous day, and in the following morning, still pretty steam drunk. But at this point, though, my costume was covered in gunpowder from the guns. So it smelled a bit funky. Probably of some smells that I probably wouldn't want to put you guys through. And as I boarded the plane, the air hosts, plural hosts. I don't know what the correct terminology is. The people who are looking after us on the plane, and they're very good people too, said, "Oh, hang on a minute. We just need to check with the pilot that he's happy to have some produce on board." So they peered ahead round the door, said, no word of a lie, Dan. Banter. They must have been used to the amount of idiots that come back looking like absolute hell from a stag do. She popped her head round the door, said, Captain, whatever it was, Captain Price, guy from COD. Captain Price, can I just have you for a second? He came out in all bewildered and bemused, said, yes. Looked at me, knew it was coming, and she said, can we have permission for this banana to come on board, please? He went, yes, you may. I gave him a nod, gave him a salute, and said, thank you, Captain. And everyone gave me a round of applause and a hero's welcome. And I also got a shout out in the safety briefing. I said, please make sure that you secure your seatbelts and look after your mask first before you attend to your bananas and your children. And that was it. I mean, the obviously, no one can see my head, but they can see the top of this banana pointing up amongst a sea of heads on the plane. So it must look quite funny. So I hated the Snow White outfit, but I love the banana one. So that's probably a 2-for-1 story for the listeners.
Well, okay. You've jogged my memory. Mm-hmm. So,
Another one.
5-year-old Dan. Here's a
yeah.
story for you. Going back many years, 30 in truth. So, I've got family in Scotland, and my parents took me out there, and they said, "You're going to be part of this parade. You know, we're going to dress you up as Robin Hood." There's the promise, Robin Hood. And much like your story, Alex, I ended up being someone else. So,
Maid Marian.
We get to the big day, and they dressed me up as Little Bo Peep.
Oh,
They put me in one of my little cousin's dresses, got me the cane, a little sheep, a wig. They painted on the rosy cheeks and freckles. They made me walk because my cousin got a horse, of course.
obviously.
Sad times, and I'm marching through. It must have been Ayrshire or Glasgow, somewhere like that. I can't quite remember. So years ago now, and I just felt like an idiot. 5-year-old Dan was promised he'd be Robin Hood, but he was Little Bo fucking Peep.
Well, any particular reason, Dan? Was it to get you have a laugh at your expense, or was it it was always that plan? What did you ever get to the bottom of that?
I genuinely don't know, and I would have no doubts that my uncle, sadly no longer with us, probably had a part in it, because he was a bit of a wind-up merchant. He was a bit of a cheeky fella. I have no doubts he probably played a part in it, but who knows?
Very harsh on little Dan, but I can see probably the family merriment as you're wheeled out to take part in this parade.
Indeed. On to the next question. So we've got next up from Rich. What job would you have if you'd followed your childhood dreams?
Very good question. So I think I talked about this before in the earlier seasons, Dan. I've got a particular penchant for a franchise, and it ends with Bond and starts with James. And I always wanted to be a secret agent. I always wanted to be part of MI6, going to these lovely far-flung places, killing evil people. And that was me. I mean, in reality, though, it's I don't know about MI6, but MI5 isn't anything quite like that. You'd be sat at GCHQ or whatever on the Thames, pen pushing. Well, that's what they lead you to believe, of course. But it's not quite, I'm sure, as quite as glamorous as MI6's finest 00 agent. But yeah, I want to be a spy now, because I bloody love those films, still do. Although we've obviously got to wait still a little bit longer for the latest one. But yeah, that was my chosen profession. Now, did I actually go into it? Did I not? This all could be a ruse, could be a guise. And by night, I'm a podcaster and radio presenter, and by day, I'm the first line of defence for the UK. You just won't know, and I won't tell you because I have to kill you. So
I won't ask.
And don't. So yeah, that's mine, Dan. But what about yours?
Well, I've got two. Okay, so 6-year-old Dan. I don't think these co-ops exist anymore, because when we were kids, they were quite big stores. I wanted to be a butcher. I wanted to slice up the ham and serve up Joe Blogs every day.
Really?
That was 6-year-old Dan's dream. As I started to get older, I started to get into art and design. So 10-year-old Dan discovered Marvel Comics. He started watching the classic 90s X-Men and Spider-Man cartoons. Yeah. Absolutely beautiful. Discovered the comics, and I decided I wanted to be an artist for Marvel. Unfortunately, that dream sort of died as I got to college. I started to do my AS levels in art and graphic design, and I never really got the support that I needed. To be honest, my art lecturer was a bit of a douche. I remember one day he came, sat down, he pushed my works one time, and that's a fail. Didn't really give me any guidance to where I needed to go to become better. So I started to DOS. I wanted to be a musician instead, and that's kind of the path I went down.
What a prick.
Yeah. Ended up in a lifetime of retail, and then 3 years ago I started working for the man. So both dreams never happened. I mean, I suppose in a sense I did end up in retail and serving people in supermarkets, just not on the food department.
Never say never, Dan. There's still time.
Oh boy, I feel like my dreams have been shattered.
There is always time, Dan. Don't you worry.
Well, fingers crossed.
We can do it. I have faith in you. I'll buy from you butchers, that's for sure. And I'll read your comics.
Oh, thanks.
Don't you worry about it, mate. You will. Gavin's got one, Dan. He says 2 words. Lost. Discuss.
Well, I mean, we could be here for a while, and this is one of those things that has kind of inspired an upcoming episode where we'll be discussing payoffs that didn't quite do it justice. You know, I mean, I've been down the rabbit hole of Line of Duty season 6, and unfortunately, this is up there with Lost. So I'll keep this brief because I have no doubt this will be on our list to discuss. Fantastic show, well written, and then you sort of get towards the end. Everything actually happened on the island, so all these people died. The smoky black cloud thing that was going around killing people was real. You know, the time travel happened, and we were always told, "Oh, there would never be purgatory. There'll be nothing about like life after death," and that's exactly what we got. Load of shit. Get in the sea, sink the island to the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Not impressed.
Indeed. No, I mean, I'd say it's a brilliant premise if they hadn't quite have ended up the way it was. Post season 3, get in the sea, because that's where it really got silly. And I like the fact they introduced the bunker and other characters and other islands. But when you then start to go, I don't know what, back in time, bombs and all that shit, it's like, got too far. So, yeah, for me, it was really quite a disappointment. So that's it, Gavin, I guess. Brilliant premise, but a poor ending. And I suspect there was probably a change in writers as we got through the seasons.
And thank you, Gavin, for your birthday message. Happy birthday from a loyal Radster.
Yes, he is. It's been there since the start.
Oh, thank you, Gavin. You know, it means a lot to us.
It really does.
To everyone that listens, really, like all over the world. Just like blows me away every time I say this. Like I don't quite realise just how vast our audience is.
Yeah, and to think, we were just talking to each other in the conservatory in the south coast of Portsmouth. And now we're talking to plenty of people all across the world. So it's very humbling and very, very amazing. So no, thank you to everyone. But obviously to Gavin for the question and also for sticking with us for last 3 years. Hopefully it's been a ride.
I just can't believe it's been 3 years. 3 years of doing this. Time flies when you're having fun.
It does. A lot has happened.
Next up, we've got Andy. He says, what could you talk about for 30 minutes with absolutely no preparation? I mean, this should be an easy question, right? I mean, we talk for, I'll say hours. Like we do episodes up to about an hour and a half to 2 hours where we talk absolute, time relevant, delicious podcasts.
Indeed.
I suppose, Alex, for me, it would be Marvel Comics.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe to actually reading the comics, I could dive in, I could deliver a TED Talk on all this stuff. I mean, I wouldn't be able to inspire you by any stretch. I'd probably bore the living shit out of you because my knowledge is quite vast. I've been a Marvel fan since I was 10 years old. I've sort of gradually sort of moved away from, say, X-Men and Spider-Man to the Avengers, Thor, Captain America, Iron Man. You'd be there all day.
Yeah.
I would take you past the 30-minute mark. I'd keep you there for an hour, maybe 2.
Keep you stuck in the corner of the room looking for an exit.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about Avengers Endgame for an hour and a half. I could do it again.
Oh no, 100%. And I think for me, it's not so much the comics. I mean, I got into comics very, very late. 20 years old. 20 years old. But I hit it hard, and I haven't been able to keep up with it in more recent years because I've had a little boy. But nonetheless, I do enjoy it. But no, I think the things for me is probably films in general. I've seen quite a lot of films, and I steal an hour or two here, so I can still keep up with those. Of course, the MCU. I'm quite opinionated, Dan. I'm not sure if you gathered that, or the listeners gathered that. So, I think probably films. I could talk back legs off. So if you said, and I often do this in the work setting, I'll say, guys, go recommend a film to me. And, someone says, we watch this. And we could waste whole meetings or time, which I'm sure they don't appreciate, just talking about absolute nonsense. So probably films for me. Bloody love them. Not too many of the new ones out at the minute for obvious reasons, but all the good reason to go back to your absolute favourites from yesteryear. So yeah, I think, Dan, it's a very good question. I think I'll be talking about legs off for more than half an hour. It'd be films.
Nice. We've been threatening to do a comic books episode for so long, like probably 3 years. I think it was one of the initial ideas we came up with when we first started the weekly roundup. Blimey. It might happen, it might not, who knows? But it's on the list of things to talk about still.
It is.
One for the future. I think we've got some good episodes lined up.
Really have, as always. We've got Andrew.
Another Andrew.
Chips or gravy or curry sauce?
Good question.
Very good one. Would you have curry sauce or gravy, Dan? You mentioned that you've got some family up north. So traditionally in the UK, guys, if you're not familiar with the UK, there's a north-south divide. The north tends to kick in north of London, which isn't very north at all. In fact, it's very south. Basically, north of London is considered north by southerners, which is probably not even a third into the country. And the north tend to devour their chips with many things battered, but also with gravy. Whereas people down south tend to be very boring, very traditional, very conservative. Probably in their voting, which doesn't sit too well with me. But also with their choice of condiments, and they have vinegar or they have curry sauce. So, Dan, are you going to buck the trend and go with gravy or something entirely different? Of course, you're allowed to have something different than what Andrew proposed. I'm sure Andrew give us this. Or are you going to stick with the expected trend and go with curry? What do you reckon?
Well, I mean, I love both. I love my chips with either gravy or curry sauce. I think they're both delights.
Or is he going to sit on the fence?
I mean, if I have to choose one...
You do? There's a gun against your head, Dan.
I would say curry sauce. There's just nothing better than going to the fish and chip shop, getting the chips, and then getting a pot of curry sauce in one of those little polystyrene cups to dunk your chips in.
That's like a bit of microplastics to go with your fish. But no, I agree. For me, it's 100% curry sauce. I don't think I've ever had gravy with chips, apart from maybe by accident. I've accidentally poured it on the dinner plate at home. No, never. So it's always been curry sauce because it's not your curry sauce like you have if you go to like an Indian restaurant, right? It's not that kind of curry sauce. It's a sweeter, mellower, creamier, thicker, kind of affair. It is gravy of types. Sometimes there's lumps in. I don't really question what the lumps are, but either way, you don't really when you get that type of meal. That's the least your worries. You are choosing to worry about with those meals. And yeah, it's curry sauce all the way, just because it's something a bit different. I never used to be fair, until I actually lived down here in Portsmouth. It always used to be traditional salt and vinegar, but no, curry all the way.
Well, I've got a question for you, right? I mean, I don't have gravy or curry sauce in my chips all the time, but what's your favourite condiment to go with your chips? Because I know like some people are big fans of like mayonnaise or of sorts.
I mean, it used to be mayonnaise and ketchup together, which is, I guess, a derivative of burger sauce, right? Just without some of the herbs. More recent times, though, it's probably mayo. But even more recent times in the last probably couple of months, it's been, and we're not sponsored by these guys, another fast food place are available, Nando's Pyrenees.
Yes,
So
beautiful.
mayonnaise with PUP, and it's smooth, but it's got a little bit of a hit at the end. And it's beautiful. So I tend to go for a bit of that, Dan. A bit of Nando's Pyrenees. That's my go-to. What about yours?
Tomato ketchup.
Okay.
Just standard. Tradish. A little bit boring. I've never been a fan of brown sauce. I don't like it. It's a bit too fruity for me. A bit tangy.
Fruity, yeah.
Yes, just tomato sauce.
Nothing wrong with that. Good old Tommy K.
Next up, we've got Rich. Is Bigfoot real?
That is a very important question.
I feel like we're being dragged down conspiracy theories route again. I have no doubts that we'll do a volume 3 sometime in the future.
Yes.
Because there is some delightful stuff out there.
There is.
Is Bigfoot real? I'm going to say no, but I do believe that there are probably some odd things out there. Certainly a big believer of UFOs, especially with a lot of the stuff now that's coming out of the US. One of my favourites, Tom DeLonge, he's sort of involved in all that stuff. And a lot of the stuff he's been talking about for years have actually sort of coming to light and are quite real, which is quite frightening, really.
Truth is out there, Dan.
It really is. So is Bigfoot real? No. But do I believe there is other things? Yes.
I will probably say, and this even is probably going out on a limb, because I don't think evolution indicates that, but I'm probably going to say probably was many millennia ago, though. But now, no chance. And the reason being is satellites which can see the face of a coin on the ground in 4K ultra high def, you can't tell me that they haven't seen something or they can't zoom in and see something from the sky. Amateur satellite people, I don't know what they're called. They probably have, they're not astrologers, people who look back onto the Earth. I don't know what that'd be called. Anyway, people who can watch these feeds and they pick up on stuff, or even like Google Earth, they would show themselves. If they are that rare, they're not going to be around for much longer if they are around. So I think, damn, they're not now, never have been. In recent times, millennia ago, possibly. Talk about the missing link. There's logically there'd have to be a jump, and I think it'd be that. But no, not Bigfoot as we know it. I don't think. Sorry, guys. It's not one that I'm behind.
No, I mean we talked about sort of creatures and urban legends back in OTT 1.
Chupacabra and the rest of it.
Just things there that I can't get on board with. I don't think a lot of it's real. Sorry.
No. But it is it's not confirmed nor denied. So for those who want to believe, hey, we don't know. But I think there's a strong indication it probably isn't. Soz. Got next one up. Mike. It's a really good one. Quite left field. What classic or modern video game character would make the best Prime Minister? What classic or modern video game character would make the best Prime Minister? Great question, Mike. Dan, who would you want to lead the country? Or any country? It doesn't have to be UK. Be any country. Who would you want to step up to the plate, dictate policy, guide the country to victory or to greater heights than where we are at the moment? Who could do that? Who should do that?
It's a tough question. Give me a moment to think. Who would you choose?
I've got two down.
Okay.
Both supplied by Nintendo.
Oh.
Japanese backed. Ganon from Legend of Zelda.
Bold. He's a bit evil though.
A little bit. Pretty left field, but he'll get the job done. And there'll be no nonsense. No one would fuck with him, and he'd be pretty clear on what he wants. So, Ganon. Alternatively, though, someone like Mario, Dan.
Okay.
Although, with his fondness for mushrooms, we'll all be tripping, so we won't know what's going on anyway. So, that's all something to look forward to. Free drugs. So probably either Ganon or Mario. Be my choices.
Okay, good choices. All right, if I have to choose someone, I'd probably choose Sid Highwind from Final Fantasy VII. No nonsense, bit of an arsehole, but would probably get the job done if you needed something doing.
You need that confidence, don't you? In someone who's gonna be clear and committed to the cause.
Yeah, totally. You need someone that doesn't really give a fuck too much, and he's going to go with his instincts.
You get my vote any day.
Yep, 100%. So keeping that short and brief, but I think your choice is probably a lot better than mine. I didn't make any notes for this episode. I'm just shooting from the hip.
Why not?
Letting the beers talk. Next, we've got S7 Oaksy. I think that's the name.
Give it a go.
This is on Twitter. What 80s/90s cartoon would you have made into a blockbuster movie, and what would be the synopsis?
Oh, that's a goodie.
Good question. Well, I can't choose X-Men or Spider-Man because, well, they're being done.
They are.
They are being done. Wow. It's a tough question. Everything that I know and love is already being done or being made.
Being rebooted, yeah. I mean, to buy some time down whilst you're racking your brains, if we cast our mind back to your favourite 90s kids TV shows, Volume 1, we covered quite a lot of 80s and 90s cartoons now, didn't we, Dan?
We did.
Back in December 2019, in fact. We didn't quite know what was going to happen. The simpler days. But I think for me, it'd probably be the Magic School Bus.
Good shout.
Which would be an interesting concept. Now, if you think of 1987's sci-fi comedy classic Inner Space, it's probably going to be a little bit something like that. Have you ever seen Inner Space? I think we talked about this before.
I haven't, no. Brilliant
film. Of an ilk of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, that kind of period and drama. And the concept is a cutting-edge, I think, privately funded engineering company manages to be able to shrink someone. They've got shrinking technology. So what they want to do is shrink this guy. And I'm not sure if he's involved in espionage or something. But anyway, he's shrunk inside a submarine of ilk. And he's put into an injection, but he accidentally gets injected into the wrong person, into the buttocks of an unsuspecting idiot. And he goes through this person's body, through the veins and the heart and the rest of it. Doesn't sound particularly good, but it is quite funny. And then it gets passed over to his girlfriend, and she's pregnant, and they fight. Anyway, it's very odd, but it's a very interesting film. It's Inner Space back in 1987. Anyway, my synopsis would be: a new teacher is in town, and on their first day, a school trip ends up taking an unsuspecting class of kids on an adventure of a lifetime through the inside of a border collie. That would be my my modern take on an absolute banging classic of a 90s TV show, Dan.
Nice.
How about yours?
All right. So I'm going to go with Disney's Recess. And I would make it into a live-action Disney film. I suppose it's hard to really do a synopsis because these cartoons were only 20 minutes long per episode. But
yeah,
perhaps your big bad in this would be maybe a school bully that they had to overcome. Because, I mean, these guys were all sort of individuals, bunch of reprobates, but they'd always sort of come head over heels and rise to the task, rise to the challenge, and become victorious. So it's probably something like that. But would I like to see Recess as a live action film? Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Probably not the right person to pitch it though, I'm afraid.
I think it's a good choice, Dan. It's a good choice.
Next up, we have got Graham. You can time travel just to observe where, when, what, and why.
2 words for you, Dan. Victorian London.
Oh, good shout.
Because the Victorians are absolutely bloody nutters, absolute nut jobs, because they're very shy, but actually behind closed doors are absolute bonkers. You know, you've got Jack the Ripper, you've got industrialisation, you've got the building of Tower Bridge, you've got the dawn of modern policing. Sociologically speaking, it's absolutely bonkers and nuts. You've got workhouses on the end of workhouses. Queen Victoria, just depending when you're looking for that period. You know, it's pre-World War. It's a phenomenal time frame. When we'll get stuck there, I don't quite know how I'd fare. Probably one of those grubby kids running around with a little baker boy hat on. But yeah, but for me, it'd be Victorian London. I think it's very interesting. If it did get stuck there, I'm sure I could find my way around. Whereas, you know, if I said, you know, Egypt or something, you're shafted. You're pretty much dead. You're going to be a slave and you're going to die. I'm not too good in heat. So I think for me, it's Victorian London, hands down. But how about you, Dan?
I mean, just to observe, and hopefully, like, if we're just observing, we're like sort of like spirit entities, like, so nothing's going to hurt us. But like, say, if we're not, then we're totally fucking screwed.
Oh yeah.
Again, London, but in World War II.
Oh, Blitz.
The Blitz. I'd be interested to see what it was like, sort of, at the time. You know, the air raid sirens going off, running for shelter. The rise of Churchill, of course, who you know, he stepped up, and ultimately, you know, were his choices always correct? Probably not, but you know, we might not necessarily won World War II. But I just find something about World War II sort of fascinating. It was something I learned about at school. I mean, even Portsmouth, you know, we as a naval base city, you know, we got bombed quite a lot. Maybe I'd like to see our area, you know. Interestingly, my secondary school got, I think, bombed, and it was something to do with our main hall. Something had been built forward, so it covered up one of the windows, which is really weird. But yeah, so World War II, either London or Portsmouth.
It's a fascinating one because if you do some reading into Portsmouth, actually a lot of the buildings in and around where I am, in old Portsmouth, were bombed because you're looking for landmarks if you're in these bombers, and there's a big old fat landmark just at the end of my road, which is Cathedral. And of course, you'd bomb in and around that because cathedrals tend to be the centre of a community. Where you're going to hurt people the most is in that space.
Yeah.
So there's lots of rich history around here, and you know, streets didn't exist and the houses weren't there and the rest of it. But also Portsmouth, it was where we launched the D-Day landings, and so the Germans had an inclination something like that was happening, and they bombed a lot of the popular ports and seaside towns of the UK because they suspected that something might happen. So they wanted to cripple any kind of efforts, and so a lot of the places, I think Exeter, Plymouth, Portsmouth, Devon, those kind of popular places were bombed. So yeah, it'd be really interesting to see something like that back then. Very scary though.
Yeah, I mean, in some places actually, if you drive around Portsmouth, you can see some of the houses where you've got the old brown brick, and obviously you can sort of see where some of these houses have been bombed because you sort of get the newer browner brick sort of building it all back up again. And of course, our Guildhall, you know, that got bombed. It was a lot taller than it is now.
Well, I'll raise you, Dan, and I'll show my hand, and that is down in Museum Road. For those not acquainted with Portsmouth, perhaps living in a different country, there's a road where there is a museum.
Yes, Portsmouth Museum.
Don't say we're not original for our road names. It's a very large Victorian style building, housing all the popular things from Conan Doyle to other popular greats of Portsmouth. And just to the left of that is a little building, stone building. I know it's rock building. I'm talking about stone building, brick building, and it's peppered and pockmarked with holes.
Yes,
that's shrapnel holes, and they're still there today. And that's from a bomb that went off just on the other side of the road, destroyed that building, and it peppered the brick. And they're still there today. So a little bit of living history from the period that you're talking about, Dan. And is there, if you want to take a look, they haven't covered it up. They haven't, obviously, I guess they removed the metal years and years ago, but the holes are still there for all to see. So it's living history as we know it.
Wow. There you go. Giving you history lessons as well.
You're welcome. Go on from Jake. Five My Street. If you could recommend a film which you don't think too many people have seen, what would it be? Very good question, Jake. Dan? Perhaps under the radar or unpopular film that you think is very good that perhaps people haven't seen. What would it be?
That is a really good question. I suppose more for the younger generation now, it'll be Back to the Future. Because, I mean, growing up, it was an absolute classic for me. You know, I remember my dad sitting me down at 6, 7 years old, introducing it to me, and it was absolutely fantastic.
It's a brilliant concept, wasn't it?
Absolutely loved it. And I remember it sort of took months for me to get through the trilogy because at the time, you know, we didn't, I don't know if it was in, you know, the video shops. Blockbuster, you shop of dreams. I don't think it was in there. I don't think we could ever find it, but
it's always sold out. Back
to the Future one was on ITV one night. I sat down, watched my dad, and I thought, this is amazing. Time travel. You know, they go back to 1955. You got Marty, you know, being romanticized by his mum, which is a bit weird.
Yeah.
A bit weird. But he's rocking out on the stage, and then he's got to get back to 1985 to save Doc. Wonderful concept. And then, of course, you've got Back to the Future 2, which is one of my personal favourites. Also, one of my favourite villains is in this. If you revisit our favourite baddies episode back in 2019, Biff Tannen.
Yeah.
And, of course, old Biff in the future gets hold of the almanac, gets into the DeLorean, takes it back to 1955, gives it to his younger self, and, of course, he becomes big, rich, famous, and nasty. And of course, we fast forwards to an alternate timeline in 1985 where he's got a casino, Vietnam War's going on, still. Big bad, yeah, wonderful. And then, of course, in Back to the Future 3, you go back to the Western times. I think it was 1885, so 100 years before the events of Back to the Future. And it's just so good. It's so good. And I think the younger generation should jump on board and just enjoy it.
Get involved. Classic. For me, Dan, it's more modern, decidedly more modern. 1997, 98, I think. Not even that, no longer. 2006, what I'm talking about, smoking crack again. Deja Vu. The film Deja Vu. You heard of that one?
No.
So it's, in my opinion, one of the best Denzel Washington films ever. The synopsis is after a ferry is bombed in New Orleans, an ATF agent joins a unique investigation using experimental surveillance technology to find the bomber, but soon finds himself becoming obsessed with one of the victims. Now, it's got some brilliant action, some great characters that makes you think, but it's not quite like the Christopher Nolan that we talked about before. Now it is back in 2006 alongside Denzel is Paul Patton and Jim Caviezel, amongst others. And I mean, Denzel, whatever he's in, I don't think he's done a really shit film. I think he's a brilliant actor. He's one of my favourites. But I don't think a lot of people have seen Deja Vu because they may be put off by some of the sci-fi elements. But it's not really sci-fi. It's a thriller and a good one at that. So if that's enough to hook you, and hopefully it is, go read up on it. Don't read the ending, but go read up on it and hopefully it'll be enough to hook you because it's such a good film. So yeah, Jake for me is Deja Vu. Great question.
Very good question. Our last question comes from Liam. Oh boy, this is it. Your local wizard grants each of you the wish of a free 4-week holiday to wherever you want to go, but you have to go to each place with each other. Where would each of you choose to go and why?
Very good and interesting question, Liam. Now, first of all, Who is my local wizard? And when was this a thing? Because I wasn't aware of a wizard. I didn't know as many of them. But anyway, if you can tell me, that'd be great. I would say, Dan, somewhere warm.
Yeah.
Just a minute. Time of recording. It's shit weather here in the UK. It's
May. It's wet. It's windy. It's cold. I've got big, thick sort of socks on at the moment because a lot of my house is wooden floors, so it gets cold. So yeah, I totally agree. It's got to be somewhere quite warm for the moment. But I'm intrigued. What country would you take me to?
I'm a massive fan of Asia and that part of the world. So for me, Dan, it's return to Thailand, which I know you've been to.
Yes.
Great food, great beer, and great people. And the beaches ain't half bad either. So for me, it's Thailand. I think they're wonderful people. Is it Buddhism over there? I think it's Buddhism.
Yes, yeah.
Very chilled out, very relaxed, very welcoming. It's a beautiful part of the world. So yeah, Thailand, Dan. You don't mind going back with me, do you?
No, I mean their temples are gorgeous as well. You know, big gold, red, green, vibrant colours. I think as long as I don't get the shits again, I think we'll be all right. One thing I wasn't keen on in Thailand, so I'm going to digress a little bit here. I've only been there for a couple of days, decided to go to a restaurant next to the hotel, and there was on the menu Thai green curry pizza. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. So I thought, yeah, all right, I'll try that. And I thought it'd be like, I don't know, like a dried chicken in green curry. I don't know, something sort of like a dried chicken. But no, it literally was Thai green curry slapped on a margarita pizza.
Oh.
Yeah.
Moist.
So I'll suck it up. I'll eat it. I'm hungry, you know. You're sort of living off of sort of minimal money a day when you're traveling. You sort of want to make the most of the experience. You want to do all these things. So anyway, following day, I think I suffered for about 3 weeks. Probably didn't help. Yeah. That goddamn pizza.
Jesus.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully it was only from one end. I'll let you use your imagination.
Beautiful. I mean, I must have had the other part of the experience because the first night we arrived quite late. It was late, 8:30. But by the time you check in and you dump your case, it's like 9:30. We were desperate to eat because, of course, you've been on a flight. We went to the inn restaurant or the restaurant inside the hotel. One of the extra ones, not the official one, but, one that was inside the grounds. Anyway, and I ordered a curry. And, of course, had to be a Thai green curry, as did you, Dan. But mine came out in a coconut.
Oh, nice.
And it was boiled out. And then there was a lovely gravy and the chicken and everything else. It's all inside. So your plate, it was on a plate, but your bowl was the coconut. And it was such an interesting concept, and it was lovely. It was beautiful because it was infused. It wasn't too coconutty. It was just very fresh. And I paid through a nose for it, But anywhere else, if you went to Chiang Mai or, I don't know, even down to Koh Samui, Koh Phangan at the bottom, the best or most you pay for, and you think it might be quite steep, it's about £5. In the UK, money £5. There, we paid a meal and it came to something like £25. So they obviously saw us coming, and it wasn't cheap. It was quite a upmarket restaurant, but just got off a plane. What you're going to do? And it was beautiful. It was all of what we wanted and more. And then I proceeded to sleep for 16 hours after that. So yeah, it's I had a positive experience with my Thai green as opposed to you, Dan. I'm sorry to hear that, but we'll make things right. We'll rectify that when we get hold of this wizard and he takes us there.
I think I was sold more on the fact that yours was served in a coconut and mine was on a margarita pizza.
It was lush, mate. I'm telling you.
Fusion food that doesn't belong in the world. Yeah, don't eat Thai green curry on a pizza.
Don't do that.
So Alex, I would take you to New Zealand.
Oh yeah, I love that place.
Via either Hong Kong or Shanghai, just for a couple of days stopover. Big fan of Shanghai and Hong Kong.
Well, are you Shanghai? I didn't do it right, probably. Admittedly, I was running out of money at that point in my trip in China, but I didn't think it was all that. I didn't think it had any charm. I don't want to offend anyone that's listening, by the way, and that's not my intention. But I'm pretty sure I did it wrong. But the only part I found of it was interesting was the French Quarter. Did you ever go there?
I think we did.
Very European type buildings, even kind of Austrian type in the construction. Very odd, very pretty, very very clean, proper, manicured, orderly compared to the rest of the traditional construction of the rest of the Chinese population. They'd gotten rid of most of their history down. They're all concrete skyscrapers and the rest of it. So I wasn't a massive fan of it. But then I didn't have a lot of money, so I didn't do an awful lot there, to be fair. So that might have tarnished my experience.
I mean, to be fair, when I first went travelling back in 2008, it was the first place we stopped off. We were extremely jet lagged. The experience wasn't that great. Shanghai is a metropolis. It's big, mazy.
It's amazing.
Tall.
Sure.
Oh, mazy! Like you could easily get lost in amongst all these like concrete buildings, and we didn't enjoy it that much the first time, but we had to go back to Shanghai to fly to New Zealand. So we sort of settled down a little bit. We were questioning whether we should just go home. We weren't happy, but we went to Beijing and various other glamorous places in China. Hangzhou, just below Shanghai, wonderful place. But anyway, we got back to Shanghai. We had a 3-day stopover and actually probably enjoyed it a little bit more. So we had more of an idea. Look out for the scam artists, the ones that try to take you to the tea rooms and take all your money. So be aware of that. But I do prefer Hong Kong.
Oh, 100%. That's
stunning part of the world.
I think until the recent issues and China probably infringing more upon the freedoms of the people there. Just a little bit too early, guys. You've still got now 20 odd years left on the agreement. But anyway, who am I to talk about world politics? Up until that, it was my favourite city in the world. I've been there about 3 times. Loved it. So either, Dan, I mean, look, I'll be willing to give Shanghai another shot because I think I didn't do it properly. And I do have a very soft spot for Hong Kong. So I'm up for that stopover. And then we'll go
for Hong Kong.
Hong Kong? Or we're going to go to Thailand? Can we do both? Let's let us?
Let's do both.
Let's do both.
And of course, New Zealand. And I've chosen New Zealand because it's just an absolutely stunning country. I spent 5 weeks there. Started in Auckland. Worked my way down to the South Island, where I think the South Island is just so beautiful. You go to places like Milford Sound, you go on a boat, you see all the waterfalls, the rocks. I know it sounds probably not doing it justice. Thinking, Dan, mate, that sounds boring. Why would I want to get on a boat to look at waterfalls?
Have in Scotland, have in Devon, Dan. What are you talking about? No, I know what you're talking about. I'm not playing. Yeah. You're right. It is beautiful.
And on your way to Milford Sound, you get all these lovely, mirrored lakes, big, beautiful mountains topped with snow. And, it's just such a stunning country. And you can do some cool things as well. I wouldn't say I'm into the bungee jumping, but I certainly would like to do zorbing again. Get one of those balls, get pushed down a hill. And, that would be quite fun. Get in the hot springs. It's just such a great country. I'd love to go back. I just don't think I've got the money or the patience to travel that far at the moment. But I say, if we've got a wizard, mate, he's going to transport us there, right?
I'd like to think so, almost instantaneously. So I'm all for it, Dan. Let's do it.
But what a blinder. I'm so sad we couldn't finish this half of the episode in the pub with the ambience. We had some good music as well. You went to the toilet and Blink-182 came on.
Was it? I missed that one.
Yeah,
cracking tracks though.
We had Papa Roach. Yeah, I'm so disappointed. Back at
Next
home,
time.
Pint of water, no beer this time. But hey, we'll have our 4th birthday to look forward to, or maybe we should do more pubcasts. I
don't. Well, why not? We can do some more questions, Q&As from the pub. Well, nothing's stopping us actually from doing the pub. We can take our iPads along with us. Apart from perhaps maybe not that venue, or perhaps not serving food, because there was that annoying shrill in the background that I didn't realise my microphones were actually so good they picked it up. So apologies for the audio on that one. But no, yeah, why not? Let's not stop us. Let's not leave it a year. Let's do it again, Dan.
I feel like we need to go to the home of staggeringly good beer. And I'm talking about staggeringly good beer.
Let's do it.
Nice little tap room. Fantastic artwork's been put into place from some of our local artists. Great beer on tap. I mean, what more could you want? Let's do it. Let's go to the pub and do some more pubcasts. And maybe we'll get some guests in on as well.
That'd be lovely. Let's do it.
We just need to agree with people to let's take microphones and other things, I guess. But I mean, I say we've got the lapel mics, which were fantastic, and as you say, they picked up some background noise in the first half of the episode.
But they did a good job. So yeah, let's add it to the list, Dan, and let's get some more pints inside us.
Right, so Alex, what are we going to be doing in our future episodes?
That's a very good question. So I think you've already mentioned a couple. We might have some interviews lined up. We keep on teasing that. There's some more South Coast creatives that we want to get on the show. So we've got a couple of those lined up. See if they come off. I think we're going to be talking about hopefully Black Widow. That's coming out very shortly.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not we go to the cinema on our own together or at all, whether we pay the extortionate price from Disney Plus, we shall see. But I think we should do that.
Not far from Loki either, June 9th.
Loki.
So again, I think if we do the same as we did with WandaVision and Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we'll do maybe 3 episodes and then the final 3. Give you a nice little breakdown, more of those tasty Easter eggs and sorts. And you know, maybe we should do it. Maybe we should talk about films and TV series that have no payoffs. And I know you had one in mind, Alex, where TV shows that had been cancelled that were absolute bangers.
Yeah, cancelled too soon. I think there's a couple that might come to mind. You know, they had such a good premise, and then they never got renewed for whatever reason. So I think there's a couple to get your teeth into, and a couple for you to get involved with, guys. So if any of those float your boat, or you think, you know what, bin those off, talk about something else, get in contact. Let us know. Because, we're a couple of episodes in the last couple of years we have actually taken on as a result of you, the listener. So we're always, willing to take on ideas. So get in touch, let us know. And we've got some contact details down. How can our listener get in contact with us if they want to give us some feedback?
We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at On The Topic Pod. And we've got Gmail, which is onthetopicpodcast@gmail.com. And if you want to leave us a voice message, usually in every social media post I put, there's a link. So you just click on that. It takes you through to Anchor, and you can leave us your wonderful voice like some of our previous listeners.
Oh, yes. And today, just to, add a curveball there, Dan, is another one. We've launched our website today.
Oh, oi.
So, I know, right? With our 100th episode on our 3rd birthday, gone all out, we've got ourselves a WordPress. So if you go to onthetopicpodcast.wordpress.com, that takes you to our website. You'll see our lovely mugs on there. You'll see the aforementioned link, which you can click on to leave a voice message, but also there's a form which you can fill in if you don't want to leave a message, but you still want to get in contact with us. Or at the end, at the bottom, as well as streaming to our episodes, you could also join our newsletter. So whenever there's a release, you're notified. So look, there's a number of brilliant ways you can get in contact with us. So use any of those, but do get in contact. Let us know, because we really do enjoy the listener feedback. With that, look, a massive thank you to all of our contributors in this episode. We don't take it for granted. We love it when you guys get involved. It's been a lot of fun. So thank you for entertaining us, and hopefully we've entertained you. Keep it coming. Keep on your opinions. Keep on your random questions and your thoughts and reflections, because that's what makes it all the more fun for us.
Oh, it's been a great episode. We've talked about fashion. We've talked about food. We've talked about travel. We've talked about time traveling, butterfly effect, and on alternate timelines, because that's a big headfuck in itself. Wonderful episode. Honestly, thank you. As Alex said, your contribution means the world, and it's you guys that really are the engine to the podcast.
Indeed. So keep us running. Keep on contributing, guys. We love it. But onwards and upwards, Dan. So on to episode 101, whatever that brings us, onto a brand new season for another week. I'd like to be tipsy, but I'm not, 'cause I'm not in the pub anymore. But anyway, I can raise my glass and say happy birthday, Dan. And for another week, I've been Alex.
And happy birthday, Alex. And I've been Dan.
And we'll see you next week.